And food never really came with a community for me. But you bring up a really great point that in Los Angeles specifically, like that's a huge part of it, of what makes, whether it's reputation or whether it's, following Mona's recommendations or listening to Jordan or, watching Eddie's things or reading Jenn's reviews. But the community really rallies behind stuff in Los Angeles, and that's so important. Yo, welcome to another episode of In a Minute with Evan Lovett, coming to you live, not from the IM studios, because this is a very special episode. This is the LA Food Roundtable. So we had to bring it out to a neutral spot in Los Angeles. So what better place than Burbank at the 7 Eckies Studios? 7 Eckies, by the way, produces the podcast. Thank you very much to everybody here. And we got space, we got a great set, and we have some excellent guests. I want to introduce everybody, but first I got to talk about our sponsor, Arto Brick. Arto Brick specializes in the rehabilitation and renovation of classic Los Angeles places. Alvera Street, USC. Where else is Arto Brick? They do so much good work. Mariachi Plaza. They have tile, they have brick, and they have a factory down in Gardena where they reproduce the brick and the tile from the 18th century, 19th century, and 20th century and do a fantastic job. So thank you, Arto Brick, and thank you for keeping jobs and manufacturing in Los Angeles. But now, on to our show, where we have a very excellent panel of my friends and people that I trust and that I really, really enjoy speaking with and talking to, and I hope you do as well. We're going to start with Mona Holmes of Eater LA, and Mona actually gave me, I would say, she gave me a boost, but she gave me my start really with LA in a minute because she saw something special in the beginning of when I was putting together these episodes, and she put an article out about LA in a minute when I was covering Carney's and Fatburger and In-N-Out. And I'm very appreciative of Mona for that, for giving me that magnification and that platform. But more importantly, Mona is a James Beard Award nominee and a fantastic writer that has done excellent work for Los Angeles, for Eater LA, and also KCRW. She's done some shows, and she really is just soulful, and she gets the heart of Los Angeles. So Mona, I am very glad that you're here. So thank you for being here.
Thanks,
I appreciate that. Next up is Jordan Okun. He does the premier food podcast for Los Angeles, Air Jordan, a food podcast. But Jordan is also my friend and a baseball dad, formerly a baseball dad at Sherman Oaks Little League. And that's how we met. Our sons played together baseball. And you've heard me talk about Sherman Oaks Little League, best community in Los Angeles, but we'll focus on the food angle. He says anything. He's not afraid to be opinionated. He knows a lot about the restaurants. He knows the chefs. And to be honest with you, he doesn't give a F about stuff. And that's kind of the thing that I love about him. You listen to his show, it's fun, it's entertaining. And maybe more importantly, he's a published author of a book called LA Fadeaway, which is here somewhere. It's right there, in fact, on the shelf, which is a really good book about the industry. And I read it recently, and it's awesome, and he's a published author, but he does a great podcast. So Jordan, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Evan.
Next up, Eddie Sanchez. Now, if you're watching LA in a minute, you know Eddie's work because the stuff that is actually professionally produced and that looks professional, that's all Eddie. He's Hungry in LA. Hungry Creative Co. is his business. And this, I got to look at my notes because he's the photographer / videographer for the Dodgers, Wolfgang Puck, Sugarfish, Terranea, Evan Funky, Gordon Ramsay, IHOP, Knott's Berry Farm, Patron, Heineken, Downtown Santa Monica. The list goes on.
Eddie.
His work speaks for itself.
Did you forget
it's
some?
beautiful. It's unique. But most importantly, thank you, Eddie, for just helping me put together some nice videos and some great work. And I thank you for being here and for your great work for Los Angeles.
Dude, thank you, man.
And now Jenn Harris, this is a great one because I was just looking this up because, well, first of all, Jenn is a food editor at the LA Times. She also has a video series called The Bucket List. But I used to correspond with her going back to 2014 on Twitter and at the LA Times because, again, I'm a big LA Times supporter, especially when the food section was in its heyday with Jonathan Gold. But Jenn Harris is a super talented writer, very insightful, and just has a good perspective on everything in Los Angeles. And it's funny because I don't know if you even remember. I mean, I'm sure you got a ton of emails and a ton of mentions on your Twitter back then. But Jenn Harris does a great job, and now she's the face and the main person, as far as I'm concerned, at the LA Times. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. So this is the LA Food Roundtable. 2025 has been a very interesting year in Los Angeles, and I want to lead with the elephant in the room. It's no secret. I've had Brisha Lopez of Guelaguetza, Christy Vega of Casa Vega. 2025 has been a very difficult year for the food business in Los Angeles. Restaurants have been shutting down left and right. Other restaurants, classic restaurants, are struggling. Let's address that first. What do we think? I want to read the list of some restaurants that have closed. The Pantry, Gorilla Tacos, Papa Cristo's, Casilla, La Grande Orange, El Mar Azul in Highland Park, Chili John's and Dupar's are on the verge of, or are both struggling as well. These are classic LA restaurants. Let's address what's going on with the LA restaurant industry first and foremost. Who wants to speak on that?
I'll dive in. I mean, you have to have your head in the sand if you don't think that costs are going up for everybody, including restaurants. But in 2025 and even before that, we're seeing that people don't have a lot of money or the same amount of money to go out and eat. A lot of those people belong to the film and television industry. Who very much supported LA restaurants.
Right.
So you add all of that along with, I'm not saying that all landlords are terrible, but many of them are, and think that they can just boot out a classic restaurant or any restaurant for that matter and think that they can get someone that has a proven concept to be able to afford the sometimes 2 years that it takes to open up a restaurant. To have it be successful. Right. So there's that element. And then you have, like earlier today, I was on the phone with 2 restaurant owners who half of their staff didn't come in today because they're afraid of immigration's customs and enforcement raids. And so they are literally in hiding. So it's aside from and also the wildfires had a huge impact. So it's been this big barrel of stuff just floating down a hill and hitting every restaurant in its wake, and it's been incredibly tough.
2025 has been a difficult year for Los Angeles in general, and the restaurant industry is, like you said, in the crosshairs of that. I do want to mention, because you said that about the ICE raids, let's call it what it is. Eddie and I filmed an episode yesterday about Wiener Schnitzel. Wiener Schnitzel, which started in LA in 1961. John Gallardi, by the way, he first started Wiener Schnitzel because he got a job with Glenn Bell, who owned Taco Tia, but more importantly, that became Taco Bell. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, we were in a Wiener Schnitzel, and the employees, Eddie, tell us what the employees were saying at Wiener Schnitzel.
We had gotten there. We were just filming some stuff. I just had a bigger camera than an iPhone or something, and they came out and kind of like someone came out peeping their, like, what's going on? And I just, in Spanish, I was like, oh, just like, how you doing? We're just, filming something. Is that okay? Like, oh, no problem. I'm just nervous. I didn't know who you guys were with everything going on. I didn't know if that was, something more to that. And we just sparked a great conversation, just about, just how it is now. And that person had to do like double shifts opening and closing because, to your point, Mona, people weren't coming in there as well, so yeah, it's crazy.
Let's be clear about that, and I'll be the one to say it. Immigrants are the lifeblood of not just the restaurant industry, but Los Angeles, but specifically in the restaurant industry, since that's what we're talking about. My wife's parents, immigrants from Zacatecas, Mexico. Some came in illegally, some came in legally. They all came into the restaurant industry and, worked their way up into having successful businesses, successful families, graduating from college. And, right now in LA, it's a huge crisis because restaurant industry really is a springboard for opportunity. And what's going on is very controversial, to say the least, difficult for a lot of people to deal with. And, is really causing families as well as businesses a lot of stress and a lot of problems, frankly. But focusing back on the restaurant industry, that is the lifeblood of Los Angeles. We love eating. We love going out. We love going to these different places. What makes Los Angeles so incredible, part of what makes Los Angeles so incredible, is because we can eat in the same shopping center. You can have Korean barbecue, falafel, sushi, tacos, all in the same shopping center. And right now is a very difficult time for those businesses to thrive because of what's going on with some of the policies in the federal government. But going back to the actual industry, even prior to these ICE raids, it's been difficult. As Mona mentioned, cost of goods are going up. Tariffs, another issue that wasn't mentioned. I'm doing a story on avocados right now. The Haas avocado changed the world. It's actually the third largest volume individual item in the produce market. And that came from Los Angeles, almost on accident, La Habra Heights, by the way, but for the record. But avocados, most of them are grown in Mexico. 97% of them are grown in Mexico that we have. And now tariffs on those are going to raise costs on everything, raise costs on food. It's tougher for people to go out and eat and pay those costs. So we're paying the price with all these restaurant closures, or we're paying the price out of our pocketbooks and having meals that are $150 for 3 people on what used to be, a lot less expensive than that. So it's very difficult. Jordan, you always have a very, very good and direct takes on that. What's your opinion about that?
The restaurant, besides all the exterior things happening in the world, right? Especially in Los Angeles with the fires and this ICE controversy, the restaurant business at its core is just a very difficult thing to get right. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's just like you can have good food and you can have the right concept, but it comes down to so many more things. And it's all this alchemy that delivers, like, whether or not a restaurant is successful or not. It's too hard. You can have great food in a somewhat of a cursed location, like Yangban is one of these restaurants that are closing. They have amazing food and even tremendous food at a level that most chefs are not working at in Los Angeles, with ingredients sourcing that is fantastic. They cannot put out better food, and they cannot get people or enough people to go to a restaurant. And so opening a restaurant is a crazy thing. It takes a blind passion and love. And they're crazy to do it, and we love them for doing it.
Right.
We love them for doing it because we so enjoy being a part of it. But it's an incredible hurdle to get over to have a successful restaurant.
Yeah, Jenn, obviously you're intimately connected with this. On a different level, because LA Times is such an historical institution, and
we are old.
It's kind of
it's old paid newspaper.
It's almost a different relationship though, because I know I would look to the LA Times to figure out what restaurants to go to and why and what they serve and their history and all these kind of things. What's your perspective as you're out there kind of perusing the scene?
That's the thing. Restaurants are playing whack-a-mole with having to every single thing that's come up. And even with the tariffs, it's like just the threat of tariffs, people started raising the prices on goods. So before these tariffs, were implemented or whatever, these restaurants were already paying like 30% more for ingredients. And that's a cost they were not anticipating. So, and a lot of restaurants, they don't just have a bunch of cash lying around where they can, when the freezer breaks or this ingredient goes up, they can just have a reserve. It's like, no, they're like, a lot of them are like, week to week, day to day, trying to like make payroll. And that's the thing, like what you were saying, Jordan, like even if they a place like Yongbon, so spectacular. Even if they got enough people through the door, it's almost like there aren't enough people that could make it profitable. Because I feel like the restaurant system sometimes is set up in a way where it's like, because the profit margins are so low and because we're so used to a restaurant working a certain way and we're used to paying a certain amount for things, diners are at least, like, I don't know the financials of this specific restaurant, but for some restaurants, it's like, how many people do you need to come in and how much do you need to raise your prices for you to make this existing model work? It's just not sustainable.
And so you mentioned a good point, sustainability. Is this going to continue? Do you guys think that the restaurant industry is going to keep struggling and suffering and we're going to keep seeing these closures where it seems like every single week, another big name where you're like, wait, you guys too are struggling and going out of business? Is that going to keep happening? Or
yeah,
it's going to, but it always happened. I mean, I grew up in Westwood, okay? Right. And I still mourn Seppi's sandwiches not being there.
Yeah.
And I still mourn Stan's Donuts and Falafel King. And so this is always something that is just a shitty part of being a food fan in Los Angeles or being a fan of any business in any city, is that nothing lasts. Except for like Musso and Frank's. But other than that, like
that will be around forever.
Nothing lasts. And so you just have to support the places you love. And the places you love have to raise their prices. And you have to be comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I loved, there was a restaurant at the Beverly Center called Angler, and I loved it. And you could not get better ingredients. You could not execute food at a better level. And they were at the Beverly Center, and so no one wanted to go, right? I loved Grand Lux Cafe. No one wanted to go to Grand Lux Cafe either. And so
parking.
People
God.
People shouldn't open at the Beverly Center either. Don't open at the Beverly Center.
Hard Rock Cafe
You have to choose the right location, and sometimes you don't know what the right location. It's just it's so much of a gamble. So again, we love them. It's crazy that they're opening restaurants, and I hope they continue, but raise your prices. And people have to get comfortable paying these extra prices, unfortunately. And I know times are tough and paychecks are less, but this is, Phil Rosenthal often refers to it as supporting the arts. And I think that's a good way to look at supporting restaurants.
It is a great reference. But to your point, I do believe that there is some, for lack of a better term, education for some of the diners that are going out, that are on social media while I'm doom scrolling at night, or I'm hearing yet another person complain about, like, why is this so expensive? How do you not know why this is expensive in 2025? And to also like, I'm waiting to press publish on a TikTok that says, enough for now, while restaurants in Los Angeles are struggling, enough with the food reviews. Like enough with the food reviews, because first off, okay, let's start from one. One, I don't know what the hell your 10 means. Like, you're gonna have to give me a little bit more context than that. Like, for example, I'm never gonna give boba a 10 because I don't like it. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's not for me. But no one ever explains that context.
Good job.
So there's one. And number two, like, have some sympathy. All of these operators are just trying to make rent and payroll. That is all they're trying to do.
Nobody's getting rich off of it.
No, very few are. So, like, let's cut them a break while, we're watching a bunch of them close. So how you make your little cute TikTok, where you're like coming in and giving a little review and whatnot, and suddenly saying, don't go here. Like, do you know what that means for that business? Their investment, their time, their employees. Like, are you really that comfortable with putting all of this energy into trying to destroy a business because you don't think it's good? Like, I feel like there's responsibility that we all have when we're talking about a restaurant, the things that we will say and that we won't.
Yeah.
And I do believe that, like, the folks who are the most vocal could take a moment to really reflect on that. That would be a huge savior to restaurants, because, like, I'm also tired of hearing from restaurants that are like, I can't believe this TikToker just tanked my business. And I'm like,
it's a good lesson for the world, not just
indeed
restaurants.
Like, and also, you don't got anything nice to say, just don't say it.
Yeah.
But overall, we do need some criticism in the world.
Of course.
I didn't say forever. I said for the time being.
I know, but
you can be critical without trashing a place.
Yes.
Yeah, but I do think restaurants can benefit, just like most art can benefit from a critical eye pointing out what could be done better.
Yeah.
And I do want to point out with the costs is a lot of it now, again, labor, rent, as you mentioned with the landlords and things like that, and the litigious nature of what's going on with employment and things of that nature. I mean, all that ends up adding up, and the cost of doing business is extremely high. I mean, look, again, to go back to my wife's family, they own a small chain out in the Inland Empire, 6 locations, and to be honest, they're selling the business because at this point, it doesn't make much sense to stay in business. They were doing well, everybody did well for a while, but right now it's just left and right. They're getting hit with this, and different things are happening, and a bunch of challenges and obstacles are accruing as far as business. Eddie, I think you wanted to say something. We were talking about social media.
Well, just piggybacking on when we were talking about the reviews, I couldn't agree more on that because, I mean, working, even my first job, like 13, 14 years old, yeah, it wasn't legally, but working at a taco shop, that's just how family business are, right? You get your cousins and nephews and kids and, do work. And so I grew up working in a restaurant, and the family behind it, there's people behind the food that you're judging, and not like you said about the boba, I can't even think of what I don't like, but there's probably something. I'm sure there is some. I know it's horrible. I eat everything, but the whole point is like there's something that you might not like, but someone else likes. They open that restaurant for a reason because they think their food is good. They have patrons and customers that think their food is good too, and so not just on social media, but I think maybe I've even noticed it in traditional media where we're now highlighting, we should be highlighting, what's good, like I'll say this, like, even if it was traditional media, not to say anything about the Times or Eater, no, because I want to say this because it's easier to consume a video for 15 seconds, but imagine like, let's say there's an article out and I'm reading through the whole thing, this new restaurant opened and this and that. And then at the very end of the line, it sucks, don't go. I'm like, man, I just wasted all that time reading that article for nothing. Like, tell me what's good. Right. So I feel like social media, traditional media, whatever it is, like, let's highlight what's good out there. And if it's not good for you, that's fine. Don't say anything about it. Not because we don't want to be mean or anything, because also as the viewer and as the person consuming the content, it's like, I wasted all my time. And how many times have we gotten that clickbait where it's whatever it is, whether it's an Amazon thing they found and you're like, and at the end, I'm like, oh my gosh, you need a bottle opener for this? That's the bottle opener. Like, what I'm saying is like, you waste your time consuming this content. And at the end, it does a disservice to the person and the family and the people behind who you're talking about.
Yeah, so putting their heart and soul and life-saving into it.
But 100% agree with the 1 through 10. I don't know what that means. And maybe there's someone that has the same taste buds. Like, I think we bounce off the same sort of, type of restaurants. I'm a big fan of Jordan. I feel like whatever he says hits. I think you put me on to, I don't know if it was Gelson's or was it Gelson's?
The chicken finger. I did have a moment where I was
oh my gosh. I'm like, I gotta try these chicken fingers.
I gotta say to everyone
he never
out there,
misses.
The chicken finger post-COVID is different than the chicken finger pre-COVID.
Okay.
I gotta tell you. Yeah.
What is the
in case you check him up on that and
it's a completely different tender.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why
they
did they
lost their supply, whoever the purveyor, I don't know. I don't know.
Hold on. You brought up COVID, which was my next point. I want a comparison for right now versus COVID in the dining scene in Los Angeles. How does it feel? Business-wise and otherwise?
I think people are making a night out of dining out maybe a little more post-COVID.
Okay.
I think that is being felt. I think people were cooped up and missed having a life. And going out now seems like more of a night out for people. Whereas maybe that wasn't the energy that LA was giving maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
When Jonathan was running the paper, and there was definitely, it was more of the more hole in the wall type of spots and a highlight of that. Whereas now it does feel like going out to restaurants and being comfortable spending, there's no steak in LA anymore that's under $100, it seems, at many restaurants, at a lot of the popular restaurants, a lot of the restaurants that would be featured in 101. So it does feel like people are wanting to dine out more.
What do you think, Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it for us, I couldn't wait to go back. Like, I still remember when it was like, I think it was like February 2021 when they're like, patio dining is available again. Like, let's go. Who's open? You know, like, yeah, I want, you know, but for me, you're asking the person like, I love dining out. Like, me and my wife, that's like, she always says it this way. She's like, that's our favorite pastime. I'm like, it's not baseball or some tradition, but I guess it could be, right?
Yeah.
Going out, having a meal, sharing that experience. So, yeah, I feel like, you know, there's a reason going back to social media. I don't want to blast it because I know I'm on it a lot. So, but also, like, I feel like in social media, you know, we like maybe we're highlighting what's new so much that we're forgetting who's been around, you know, who's been putting the work, who's been in the community for so long, that we're like, oh, what's the new next shiny thing? Kind of like for the longest time with our architecture, right? We used to just demolish everything and then build something brand new. That's why the East, I mean, I know, that's why the East, well, now I'm seeing buildings that are like, wow, that's like 1920. That's great. It's over 100 years old. But, you know, we just didn't have that appreciation for it. And I think in the food community, it's the same way. It's like, oh, checking out, come with me, checking out this new, you know, steakhouse. I'm like, okay, well, what about Taylor's down the street that's been killing it? And to your point about, I mean, they have a steak that's $45. So they're probably one of the few people that is like a budget steak, you know, or whatever. And it's still a good experience. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I think, you know, really celebrating who's been here in the community for a long time. And I'm not saying neglecting who's, you know, we want to receive everybody, whether you're opening up a new spot, but I don't know. I just think we need to go back to, you know, championing like our community, the food community in general, and restaurants. So, you know, we can all ships rise together.
Wow. Well said. Okay, Jenn, Mona, you guys are quote unquote traditional media, right? Like, even though, I mean, now all the lines are blurred. But during COVID, you were both gainfully employed in that industry. And, you know, you had to be dining out as much as possible, as much as regulation allowed. Is it a different because I remember as a diner perspective, you know, from the nosebleed seats, it was, you know, we were excited to go out just because we can. And, you know, we didn't even expect restaurants to be the same as they quote unquote were, you know, but we were just happy to be there. But it was also, we knew it was a struggle and businesses needed our support and blah, blah, blah. Is it a different vibe now? Is it a similar vibe now in the sense that, like, during COVID, A, to Jordan's point, where it was like, we had cabin fever, so we wanted to go out, but B, we also heard the narrative of, you know, restaurants need your support and you need to go support them. Is it similar or is it something different in that vein?
I mean, I think it's similar. It feels just as dire now. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, it was very dire during a global pandemic, obviously, when like people could not, you know, literally open their doors. But no, it feels just as urgent now that restaurants need support, though. But it's hard. Like, I have friends who, you know, they can't afford, you know, eating out is a luxury. It is, whether you eat out once a week or 5 times a week. You know what I mean? Like, it's no longer like nobody is entitled to a restaurant meal. It's like it really is like a treat, no matter where you go. So it's hard now. So yeah, when you are asking people to support, it's like, yeah, if you can, like, go out and support restaurants in any way you can. But like, I understand right now. That's why it feels maybe even more dire, because a lot of people, more so than before, cannot afford to go out to eat.
Mona?
I totally agree with you. I actually agree with all of you about all of that. I do feel like it's constantly evolving and shifting and changing. The thing that I was most worried about in 2020 was that a slew of places, like way too many places, would close and they would be replaced by corporate entities. You know, that's a fear that I still have.
Yeah, same.
You know,
same.
Because like, who can afford that $20,000 a month for something that, you know, I mean, these corporations, they can afford it. The individual or privately owned businesses can't, or it's becoming more and more difficult to do so. So I still have that fear. And I also know that LA won't like it. Like, one of the things that I am most proud about for Angelinos who dine out, they sometimes know about shit before I do. Can I say that on shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. They find out about shit before I do. Yeah, I know you do.
It's a podcast, right?
It's a podcast. And because they're intrepid and they're online all the time. And when I get there, I'm like, why is there a line out here? They found out before I did. I love that about us.
Yeah.
And, and so the idea of more corporate type of chains coming in, I can honestly see LA diners just giving a big old middle finger to them. And
I kind of like that.
I do too.
I kind of respect
I
that.
do
Yeah.
too. And
Is this Grand Lux shade now?
I didn't say anything about
is this not connected to that
anybody
at all?
all. But I do. That is what's in my purview. Quite a bit these days. Okay, what's going to happen when X place closes, and I really hope that we can figure something out around it. I feel like the governor and the mayor and the city council and the board of supervisors could do some amazing things around it. Like maybe declaring an emergency. They did during COVID to help restaurants specifically. Like I would love to have Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass in the room and say this, like, this is emergency time. It's go time.
Right.
How about you guys declare an emergency? You get rid of all these ridiculous, or at least temporarily pause them.
Yeah.
All of these ridiculous inspections and from building and safety and gas and fire and whatnot that, some of them actually are for public safety, but the majority of them are not. And, just pause them for a bit while restaurants get on their feet after the strikes, after the fires, after this craziness that's happening in.
How about forever?
Yeah, or
forget
red
temporary.
tape.
It's how many restaurateurs I talk to who have great businesses in New York and would rather open in a market like Dallas than Los Angeles because they do not want to deal with the politics and they do not want to deal with the red tape and they do not want to deal with the bullshit and how hard it is. And so until the city understands that, we're going to continue having monstrosities come in who are open to paying huge rents that no one wants to eat. I mean, we lost Dupars in the Valley to Sephora. The only one who's happy about that is my daughter. It's just like, I hate that there's not a Dupars in the Valley anymore. Yeah. And so, yes, to your point, it needs to get easier.
Do we all need to get Gavin and Karen?
It needs to get easier.
Together.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling it.
We're going to have Karen Bass on here soon. So stay tuned. I will ask her.
Ask her, please.
Okay. Now lightening it up a little bit. This is a personal question for everybody. I want to know each of your personal evolution of dining in Los Angeles. And I will start with mine to kind of give you a template. All right.
Okay.
Is when I grew up, the fancy restaurants that my parents, well, first of all, there was a place called Weiler's Deli. That was like our go-to. It was in the Valley. And it was like related. It was in the Solly's family, which eventually became like somehow under the Jerry's Famous Deli umbrella, or maybe not. I was young. I don't know. But it was Weiler's Deli. But our fancy dinners were this place called Jeremiah's in the middle of the Valley. And to me, that was fancy. So we never knew any fine dining. And my dad came from the total old school where he would ask questions like, would you rather have a large quantity of food or a smaller quantity of really good food? And like, obviously, now everybody at this table is like, well, I'd obviously have the good food. But like, he was like leaning towards, he's like, well, I'd rather just have the buffet and like go crazy. So that's like where my background came. So I grew up eating a ton of fast food. Like I love fast food. And that's kind of one of the things about LA that like sort of intrigued me and like sort of set me on this path, is because all the fast food places came from LA, which was great. But then as I grew up, and I met my wife who has exquisite taste, we started getting into the whole Michelin restaurant scene and started going out to nice places. Gordon Ramsay at the London was our first really fancy meal, Michael Voltaggio Inc. And then we kind of followed that path. Jonathan Gold, thank goodness, counterintelligence and all this kind of stuff, opened the door. And then it became just, like, oh my God, where's this been all my life? Again, sushi, Korean barbecue, like all the great cuisine. And now we sort of go to restaurants, and maybe this is a thing, we don't love to repeat restaurants. And this is a whole different topic, by the way. So don't jump ahead on this one, though, because there's so many good new places to try. And we always want to try something new and something different. But that was like my evolution, where it was like basically from the bottom rung to the Michelin scene. And then I remember like, I think it was 2017, 2018, Food and Wine declared Los Angeles like the most exciting food city in the world or blah, blah, blah. And I was like, even though I was a neophyte, I was like, finally, like LA gets the respect it deserves, like in the culinary scene. But tell me how you essentially got into this. Like what made Mona Holmes like an Eater LA phenomenon, a James Beard Award nominee. And I know it wasn't that grocery store fried chicken that helped, although that is delicious and awesome, and opened a door. And one of the articles for why she was nominated for the James Beard Award, by the way. But what was it that made you Mona Holmes and introduced you to dining and set you on this path?
Lord, I don't know. I mean, my earliest dining memory was at Fox's in Altadena, where I grew up.
Go.
And, I saved up enough money to go on my own after being there with my family, because they had everything that a child wanted, like sandwiches and pancakes and breakfast food. And, and I had my tea and I had my pancakes and I had everything that I could possibly need. The waitress taught me how to tip. Because I didn't leave one.
Really?
There were a lot of.
What did she say? How
she
did
said
she teach?
40%.
She actually told me 15. She said 15 is your starting point.
Back then, that was about the average.
That totally was about.
I remember the 15%.
That was
I do too.
That was standard. Yeah.
Revealing our Gen X age, I think.
I'm
right?
fine with it.
Me
The
too.
beard reveals that.
I don't know about me.
Go on.
I'm messing around. But there was that, but I also have a severe love. I'm not a snob about it. I love Jack in the Box tacos.
Yes.
They're bomb.
Yes,
They just are.
thank
Sorry if I offend anybody.
No, when they were 2 for $1. Now
Yeah.
I'm
They-
showing my age.
Are they not?
Are they still?
What are they now? I haven't been
Oh,
there.
I don't know. I thought that was.
Okay.
They
I mean,
were for a very long
sure they
time,
can be.
and I don't know what that mystery meat
Yeah.
is, but it
Go
is
sauces on it? What sauces do we go?
just their basic taco sauce.
Am I the only one who does ketchup on them?
I think you
Probably.
Wow.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
You and
that.
my son,
I
By
would
the way-
never judge you for it.
I was taught that those were soy meat, by the way. I had a tiny
care what
little
they are.
vegetarian phase.
Yeah.
Don't care.
And that was my one
Sounds healthy.
exception because
Sounds
I was
healthy
like,
to me.
I could eat those Jack in the Box tacos because somewhere along the line I heard they were soy meat. So I was like, yes.
You just
that-
never checked.
Yeah.
Did not do my research on that.
I don't
Okay.
think any employee knows what it is.
Go on,
truthfully.
yeah.
But
Definitely not meat though. Okay, sorry, go
but
on.
I don't mind repeating
Yeah.
restaurants.
Yeah.
I have been going to Taqueria Frontera for entirely too much over the last 6 months, but they're a solid, reliable standby that is close to my house.
Yeah.
And when I'm hungry and don't feel like cooking, I can go there. But I love straddling in between worlds.
Yeah.
And, I'm never 100% comfortable in super high-end spots because it doesn't feel like anyone is super relaxed. For me, it's about, I feel like everything can be encapsulated in the fact that I love places that mean a lot to the surrounding communities.
Yeah.
Where they are truly thinking about the folks in the neighborhood.
But how did you recognize that like in your younger self?
Because I looked at the places that have been around forever.
Wow.
And, and it's the meaningfulness that they have to the surrounding community.
That's awesome. And again, not to harp on it, but you're younger. That was just one of your things that intrigued you. You do that homework, you do that research.
I didn't know it until I'd say maybe my second year of working for Eater when I started to really look at it.
Yeah.
When I was encouraged to look at it. So that's how I kind of came to that.
And that's kind of your specialty is like these deep dives that like define the communities. And that's why I sort of like, again, fell in love with your work because you read it and you're like, it's not a story about food. It's not a review. It's about the community and it's about the heart of where it comes from. But so that's interesting that you sort of learned that at Eater. Jordan, what was your development in LA dining?
I mean, I always loved food, but we had a home where, my mom cooked a lot of dinners and we would eat together a lot of nights of the week and never went out during the week at all. And, maybe a pizza from Maria's, which I actually hear may be closing in Brentwood, which sucks. On Saturday nights when my parents would go out and, occasionally we would go out. Like if there was a celebration, maybe, like a really fun night out would be like a Giorgio Baldi, like once a year for like a birthday or something like that. Or Hamburger Hamlet was more of of a standby for us.
Charlieville?
No, San Vicente.
Okay, got it.
But my work, you mentioned the novel. The novel's about Hollywood. And when I wrote that, and really when I write anything, I try to celebrate Los Angeles. And I think that's something we all have in common, right?
Absolutely.
Is celebrating Los Angeles. And so I did it through the storytelling of Hollywood in the book, but then came food. And at the same time where, Roy and John and Vinny and Nancy, and it was all coming to be in 2009. And I started to celebrate Los Angeles through the food. And that's when I got serious about it.
I think something, not to interrupt, but our era, we're all lucky that the era that we're all kind of in is the era that really was, as much as I sort of scoff at like a national publication being like, oh, finally LA gets its flowers. But we really did all sort of come of age in an era where Los Angeles dining scene, whether it was the food trucks or the restaurants, really was like hitting its heyday. So, I mean, that's pretty important. Eddie, what was your food evolution?
I mean, I grew up where my mom cooked, all the time. Like we just grew up home cooked meals. So it was always like a treat just to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like after church on Sunday or something. And then my parents, we didn't grow up on much. So McDonald's was a stretch. And so they'd get me and my sister a Happy Meal. And then my parents would just eat something on tortillas at home or whatever, right? So then finally, when there were big events, graduations, things like that, we'd go to this one restaurant in Venice because we grew up on the west side, La Cabana on Lincoln and Rose. So that was like, I mean, you might as well have taken us to a Michelin restaurant. Like that was like the waiters to this day, I think are still like in that tuxedo. I'm like, man, he's dressed like a penguin. Look at that, so cool, But then they still had the person with on the comal making tortillas by hand. It was like this so that's like my first like food memory in LA of really remembering like dining in. It still felt homey and something, at home, but it was like high service for us. But then really when I got my, when I was able to work for myself and treat myself, that's really when that evolution happened. And I remember early on at like, just to sound old, like early 2000s, right? Like right at the turn of the century, it was like, we didn't have really a way to discover food. So, it was like word of mouth, and my friends, all their dads, they worked at restaurants. So we just knew what was kind of good and where to go eat. And then, it just evolved into that. So I really got serious when I was able to pay my own way to really treat myself. So it's like, because you were always without, I always tell people it's almost like that Eddie Murphy bit where his mom wants to make him a hamburger that's better than McDonald's. And so my mom would try to like emulate something. I'm like, it's not the same. You can't, you're making tamales. You're not making, so it was a treat. It was a real treat for me. That's when I got serious about it and really was able to just kind of, move forward with it.
Very interesting. Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I have similar background, I guess, in that my parents, we ate at home during the week, the entire week. Like on the weekends was when we were allowed to go out and venture out. And I come from a family that's very passionate and serious about food and restaurants, even though we couldn't afford to eat out all the time. So on the weekends, we were going as a family to try a place. And like, that's where we spent our money. So that was always the mindset for me, that like being at a restaurant is a treat. So yeah, when I got a job, or even in college when I started working, like any money I saved was to go to a restaurant. Wow. Like I remember when I saved up enough money to go to L'Orangerie. I don't know if you guys remember that restaurant, but I mean, like that was a great restaurant at the time. And I was like, I saved like and still the money I have goes to eat out. So, so that's kind of where I was. But then also like, I remember distinctly though, when I realized that like the food community was a community, or that there was a community built around food, was when it was my first time waiting in line for Kogi tacos at the truck. And then like just
watershed moment.
Like, yeah, like everyone was like so excited, and there was just like this energy around it. And then you were following the truck on Twitter, and then I had this rule where it was like, even if I was on my way somewhere or coming back and it was not convenient, like if I spotted the truck somewhere, I had to like pull over and get in line and get a taco, because it was just this thing, and it really felt like I was part of this community with all these people who were passionate about the same thing as me. I didn't know any of them, but it felt special.
Man,
that seems like an eternity
right
ago.
Yeah, now I'm aging myself.
No.
Yeah.
I'm older than you. But like, it's not that long ago, but that might as well have been like a century ago.
Yeah.
What is time?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But honestly, this guy changed.
Yeah.
This guy changed LA food for the world. Frankly, I mean, that was a different era and a different time, and it really was a special occasion. And maybe we didn't know it at the time, but the world was changing again because like Twitter was such a like new different thing, and like now you're finding your food on the. I don't know. It's so crazy. You brought up something that's so important. Community around food. And I think, again, I come from a different background in that regard where my family wasn't really like that. You know, food was, my mom would cook, but she wasn't like a huge deal. Like I'm appreciative, but it was just like getting dinner on the table more than like making fancy. Thanksgiving was a big deal, but like wasn't like a huge thing. So I didn't really realize the community, and I come from a small family. I'm an only child and we have very few relatives. Our Thanksgiving dinners were 7 people. So it's tiny, and food never really came with a community for me. But you bring up a really great point that in Los Angeles specifically, like that's a huge part of it, of what makes, whether it's reputation or whether it's, you know, following Mona's recommendations or listening to Jordan or, you know, watching Eddie's things or reading Jenn's reviews or the best things I ate this week, which by the way, every Sunday night, sometimes Monday morning, right?
Yeah, I get a little late on it.
But like it's a post that I genuinely look forward to every single week.
Yay.
But the community really rallies behind stuff in Los Angeles, and that's so important. And to the point earlier about, you know, with the negative reviews and all that kind of stuff, dragging stuff down, the positive can really elevate and buoy and make places, which is pretty significant. So I think that that's important. And along those lines, I think that nostalgia is a huge, huge factor in LA dining. I'm wearing a Pioneer Chicken t-shirt. People who've watched the show or watched LA Minute know that Pioneer Chicken, my dad used to take me to Pioneer Chicken every week. There's 2 remaining. Pioneer used to run LA, but there's 2 remaining, Boyle Heights and Bell Gardens. And as far as I'm concerned, it tastes exactly the same. Still that somehow orange, crunchy chicken skin. But is it the nostalgia or is it really the flavor that keeps me coming back? Because I always try to go to Pioneer, but nostalgia is a big factor. And at least for me, I focus on that a lot. How important is nostalgia to you as far as places that you eat or celebrate in Los Angeles?
Big. I mean, if I wasn't from here, I probably wouldn't eat a Jack in the Box taco. You know, I probably...
Are you sure?
I don't know. I mean, I've been told that they're gross by non-locals.
Haters.
And, you know, in the same way that a lot of outsiders don't necessarily like In-N-Out. They don't necessarily...
They are wrong.
They are wrong. I think they love to hate LA is what it's really about.
Some insiders don't like
I know. They're also wrong. No.
True that. You know, it's... You know, to be reminded of our youth, our childhood, is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
You know, the moment when you're like in that spot that meant something to you when you were young can evoke amazing feelings. But yeah, like there is some joy that you get from not even tasting the food yet. And so why not go and experience that?
What do you think? Sure.
Oh, I mean, look, like a argument I am in with 100 different people on 100 different threads is the apple pan good? and I love the apple pan. And I grew up in West Los Angeles eating at the apple pan. And my father taught me to put salt on the fries and pepper in the ketchup and go to town. Yes. And to me, eating there is still a tremendous experience. And I think the burger is sensational. If you got to order light lettuce, they put there's a little too much crunch of the lettuce on there, but it is fucking great. And then people in New York are telling me, well, it's no JG Mellon. And I've had JG Mellon and I think it's average. I think it's mediocre and I didn't grow up eating there. And so But I really do think that the Apple Pan's greatness has nothing to do with nostalgia. That it actually is a tremendous burger that should be on everyone's list.
Okay.
But of course, I mean, who doesn't love to feel the comfort of nostalgia? I mean, it's, you and I had a dinner at Dantana's, and I feel it there too. So, and then there's places that are I would kill to eat at Junior's Deli again. I would kill to have their raisin challah with toasted, well done with butter. I would kill for that. But, so you go to the places that evoke those memories.
What do you feel about pie and burger?
I think it's inferior to the Apple. I didn't grow up in Medina.
I did.
Spoken like an SFB.
I didn't go in there. But if you do go, I would suggest light sauce. See, at Pie and Burger, you have to do light sauce. At Apple Pan, you have to do light lettuce. But no, that was not my spot. I'm an Apple Pan guy.
Yeah.
Okay, Eddie, you do photography, videography, professional organizations. You're not necessarily called into the old school, again, Musso and Frank's, Saugus Cafe, places like that.
Oldest restaurant, right?
Oldest restaurant in LA County, baby. What's your take on nostalgia, and what places are nostalgic to you?
Oh, man. Well, just back to their point about nostalgia, I feel like it definitely raises the score overall for us, because like you said, I know there's a lot of people too. I love the Apple Pan, by the way.
Careful, Ed.
Yeah, no, Hickory Burger is my go-to, and then the tuna is like, I feel like unmatched for me. Might be nostalgia, but I feel like that tuna is the best tuna I've ever had. It's not. And the reason why I bring that up is because being on the West Side, I grew up also with Tito's Tacos. So I take my wife to Tito's Tacos. She moved here when she was 12 in Echo Park. So she's technically, she's a local, but she never really had Tito's. So I took her to Tito's. This is like early on when we were dating. And I'm like, oh, you got to try Tito's Tacos. It's like the best tacos dorados. And she was like, no, it's not that great. And it's not just her. I've taken other out of town people. And yeah. But here's the thing. I'm like, is it nostalgia? I remember playing, Pac-Man and that racing game from the 80s in the arcade in the back. And I just have these memories of going to Tito's Tacos. But I think it was nostalgia because Tito's
is nostalgia.
And Mona probably knows, you guys know, I never like to say anything bad, about anything, about anyone, but I will say in the nicest way, I'm like, I'll just blame myself. Maybe my taste buds have changed where it doesn't feel the same as, but it took nostalgia, someone to open my eyes and be like, are you just being nostalgic? And I'm like, maybe I was. So I don't know.
Good take. Now, Jenn, you have an interesting role because again, you get the freedom of being like the best thing I ate. And sometimes I even see you mix in like a homemade, somebody made something for you or something like that. But your role, I think, again, being at LA Times is like to put people on to newer stuff or to show them, like things, maybe, I don't want to say assignment, but is there a lot of nostalgia that goes along with that? And then aside from professionally, what are the nostalgic places for you? And what does it mean to you?
I don't know. I love being able to revisit a place and not have to just constantly go to new restaurants, which is obviously hard because that's part of my job.
Yeah.
But if I had my way, I would eat at like the same places every week, maybe, because I like my thing. Like, here's looking at you as closing. I've tried to go so many times before they close because I genuinely like, but that's also a restaurant. Like I try to be a regular at restaurants that I really love as much as I can or afford to, but it's hard because then I'd have nothing to write about in my column.
Do people treat you differently?
Yeah, they're horrible. No, I'm just kidding. No, not really. It depends on if I like have a rapport with the owner or the chef because I've interviewed them for something, then they might come over and say hello or something. But normally, no.
But you're recognized, and the same applies to Mona. You're recognizable. You're an important voice. And again, even though traditional media, things have changed and the lines are blurred, there's still a different gravitas in what you do and what Mona does. So when Jenn Harris comes in somewhere, it's different than when Eddie Sanchez, Evan Lovett, or Jordan Okun comes in.
Oh no, Jordan gets the best treatment in all of us. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Jordan is Jordan.
Look,
I'm not getting wrong. Jordan treatment. Nobody is.
The four of us get different. Come on. The four of us get different treatment in restaurants. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why Bill Addison keeps his anonymity.
Right.
Yes.
Because he doesn't want
Yes.
or wants to try to stay away from that kind
Great
of
writer, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know. LA Times is main feature.
He's our
writer.
restaurant critic.
Restaurant. Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, the treatment is yes, we all get treated a little better than the average diner.
Would you agree with that?
Yes. Yeah. Depending on the place. Yes.
They know we're there.
Exactly.
Like some of them are so busy. They don't have time to even really think that. I don't announce when I'm coming.
And then you're not like, do you know who I am?
Oh my God, never. No one at this table would ever do that.
No, come on. That's a terrible thing to do.
I don't like for them to know that I'm there. Because I want to be able to give a good assessment of what the restaurant really is. And I can only do that if they don't know that I'm around. It's really hard to do as a 5'10" Black woman with no hair. But I try to go in so that I can relay the best experience to our readers.
Do you ever do disguises?
No.
Okay.
It's inescapable. With social media, they all know what most of us look like.
Okay. Social media. Let's talk about social
They
media.
know what you look like. You were spotted
Oh.
at Dantana's.
Yeah.
Every time I go out,
Yes,
we
of
get
course.
stopped.
Most famous
Yes.
guy.
We should be asking you this
Right?
But I'm
question.
not like a food critic.
We got stopped
Doesn't
yesterday.
matter.
You're part of the
Everything.
media.
Yeah.
Like it or not.
Let him move on to the next.
Okay. Social media landscape. And my wife actually wanted me to make sure I brought this up. The people that are like 10 out of 10, obsessed. It goes from that extreme to what you were talking about, where they'll trash a place, right? How do all of us, I'll say you guys, but all of us as you guys are the professionals. How does it feel seeing like the social media landscape and the increased importance on that? And I use importance in quotes and kind of rolling my eyes because it is important, but it's maybe shouldn't be as important as it is. How does that feel with somebody with professional bona fides again? And Jen, I'm gonna look at you the most because the LA Times is the preeminent.
I know, so old.
It's the preeminent journalistic resource in Los Angeles, if not all of the West Coast.
I don't know. I get asked this question a lot because I think the more voices talking about food, the better, whether they're on social media or whoever you are. I don't think you need to be work in traditional media or be a critic. I think what's important as a consumer of media or social media or newspapers is that you find someone whose tastes you align with and then you follow them. Like that, I think that's the most important thing. Like how should it work for you? I don't think one voice is better than the other. And I think it's great to have multiple people talking about it.
Ooh, God, that was a good answer.
Totally agree with you.
I didn't expect you to just shut down that
No,
question.
I didn't mean to shut it down. I didn't mean to shut it down.
Perfect.
I'm fully in alignment with Jen. Like there are 26,000 restaurants in LA County, and there's no way that I'll ever be able to taste them all. I rely on influencers and folks in the social media space to help me discover places that I would never set my foot in, especially ones that are in the Inland Empire and places that like I don't find myself in very often, especially Orange County. So I find them. Sorry.
No, I do the same. I do the same.
They're helpful. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. So they're able to point me in directions that I would otherwise never find.
Okay,
they're an essential part of the media sphere in my book.
Mona, let me ask you specifically, because you're such a good writer, talented writer, and you get the inside like emotion. I'm not comparing you to Jonathan Gold because nobody can compare to Jonathan Gold, but you evoke a lot of the same thing where it's your stories aren't necessarily about the food so much as the culture and the just what's going on, and that's how you evoke the food and bring the food up in the context. But when you see these influencers that are like, I have a problem with the car eating influencers. You know, like
there are so many.
I know, and that's
so many.
why.
That's my only
what are the
complaint.
thoughts? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
You can't have a
you
full
work
experience.
hard and you're so talented and intelligent. Yeah, so
You can't have a full experience eating food in your car. Like you just can't. I'm sorry. That's my only complaint. But otherwise, I hope they keep doing the things that they're doing,
Right.
and and giving me their. I mean, I'm fine with. Them introducing me to a lot of places. I don't always agree with their opinion on places, but I consider them an essential part of the media sphere. So, yeah, I think they should just keep doing what they're doing.
Jordan, as a podcast guy, that's a whole different kind of realm. What's your take on that? And by the way, there's not a lot of people doing what you're doing, or at least successfully.
There's a couple. The landscape for podcasting, at least in Los Angeles, is a lot greater than it was when I started. When I started, there was two.
What year did you start? What year?
19 or 18.
I thought you were saying.
I thought you were saying 19 something. I was like, Jordan.
What?
Wow.
Okay,
I thought it was
2000.
Go on.
like 2018.
Yeah, around then.
Okay.
Around
Okay,
then.
I feel like we did an interview before then.
Before that?
Like when Food Bowl launched. Remember?
Well, so I was a food writer
Yeah.
for a moment, and I did not like the constraints of being a food writer. So I wrote for Eater and the LA Times and LA Magazine and Time Out, and I really want to try to sound different as far as food media goes. And I would be constrained by editors because that's just a part of the game when you write for these companies. There's a mandate and there's a style and a less authorial voice. So when I there were 2 LA food podcasts that had just shut down. There was nothing. And so I started for more creative freedom. And I think it offers a lot of creative freedom, especially if you're independent like me. I mean, if it's just straight pump up the volume like I'm doing, I could do whatever I want. And all this stuff, no matter if it's you guys who work for big corporations or Eddie and I, it's just like,
wow. Okay.
well, no, what I'm saying is it's all like this is for like the love of the game type of shit. So it's just like, you got to be hustling. You have to find all sorts of ways to keep doing it if you want to do it.
Do you consume a lot of social media?
I probably do. I'm off X, but I'm on Instagram probably a little too much. Not on TikTok.
Okay, Eddie.
And I have no comment on food influence.
Eddie, your world. Look, I think maybe people who know Hungry in LA don't realize that. I don't want to say that that's your passion project because it's great and you're awesome at it. But like, you're really a professional food photographer and videographer with, again, a litany of just high-end, awesome clients that I'm like so envious of. No, that are great, that you do great work for. But you're a social media guy, right? Like that's how you quote unquote
Unfortunately.
make your... So you almost have to consume a lot of social media and see all these influencers and blah, blah, blah. What's your take of that landscape?
Yeah, well, like you actually, like what you said, Hungry in LA was like a passion project. I was in finance for the longest time, seriously. So it was like in 08, 09.
You seem like you have too much heart for finance.
I know. Well, yeah, like I'm so glad I was guy. I got unplugged and now I can do something creative. But it was just a creative outlet, and it just, then started posting stuff on Instagram. I've always loved photography. And then it really, I always tell people I'm a photographer because that is my day job. I shoot for restaurants. I shoot for, consumer product goods, different brands. But I do consume a lot of media because I am a foodie at heart, and, I love to know where to go eat. Before food influencers, it was like, City Search and Yelp and things like that I would use back in 04 or 05 to discover food, or the early bloggers, Matt Matatui and, Diana Takes a Bite, gastronomy blog. Like I would look at people. So I was always influenced because I would read those outlets, Jonathan Gold as well. So, so I think there's an importance to it. And if you can align your taste, like you said, with people that are like probably similar, like Jordan, like I said, he doesn't miss like the chicken fingers at chicken strips,
That's
like
Gelson's.
No, John and Vinny's. No, there's a lot, dude. You're always I trust his opinion, so every time he posts, which he doesn't post that much, only on stories sometimes, I'm like, dude, you need to post more.
Great story. But I gotta say this, Jordan, great stories.
I don't know how all you are posting so much. I can't keep up.
Jordan, I love your music. I want to get that on record. I've told you that personally, but man, this guy has exquisite taste in music. Watch his stories more than anything. Like legit hip hop from my era, 90s and early 2000s. Okay, anyway, go on. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Eddie's in the same. Yeah.
I think we all share
Eddie's
that love.
Yeah.
Music. Yeah. Same. I'm trying to dress like you. So
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Let's not call attention to it.
No, that's right. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we showed up wearing the same thing, I guess, by accident. Agree.
Okay.
But anyway, I think there's it could be an important tool to, and yes, what was the question?
You answered it. You did great.
Next.
Okay. I know some people here have some deadlines, so I do want to start. We're not wrapping up, but we're going to get into the more, let's call it speed round sort of thing. I want to talk about LA dining regions. I always think about this. And people tend to stay in their bubble a little bit in LA. And I always encourage everybody, listen, I know mass transit's supposed to be a big thing and blah, 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 and take the train. I love driving, okay? So I encourage everybody to drive everywhere in Los Angeles. I know, unpopular. But just get out of your neighborhood and go explore other places. And I do that a lot, and I love it. You know, whether it's Boyle Heights, San Pedro, Torrance, the West Side, Altadena, you know, like there's so many awesome places. The Valley, of course, so many awesome places. But what would you say is your favorite dining region in LA, not including your home where you live? Where would you go where you're like, there's a lot of good restaurants in this area? Concentrate. I'm going to go backwards. Jenn.
Oh, Koreatown.
Oh, wow.
Very, very easy. Koreatown, or I technically live in the San Gabriel Valley, but also the San Gabriel Valley.
Not very good.
Yeah.
Eddie.
Like Downey Southgate area for me.
Really?
Yeah. Southgate, I guess, or like lower. Yeah, just a lot of, it's not really restaurants, but more like different, you know, taqueros that pop up, things like that. So yeah.
Good answer. Jordan.
I mean, this is just impossible. All I know is it's not where I live. It's not Sherman Oaks. So I don't have to worry about not saying where I'm from. But my favorite restaurant in Los Angeles is in the Arts District. It's Bavel. And so I'd be hard pressed to not say the Arts District. Mia Mia, a new chicken shawarma pop-up at the Row, is technically, I guess, Arts District. Those two enough. I mean, I still love Bestia. The Arts District, you know, just for Bavel alone, I think would be my answer.
Mona.
Bavel is so good.
I think it's the best restaurant. Jen, we need it a little higher on the 101 next year, okay?
Talk to Bill. Talk to Bill about that.
Bill, this is the first time you're probably listening to me. 39, I think it was. That's too much.
There's so many other places.
You were at 11 and then 39.
There's so many.
Gotta get it back up, Bill.
So many
Safi's,
places.
By the way, Safi's was dope. I went to Safi's.
Safi's is really wonderful. Safi's is really wonderful.
I was actually.
I enjoyed it, but I'm sorry.
Safi's is great too. And by the way, another great neighborhood with Found Oyster across the street.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's an impossible question, a bad question.
Mona, same question.
Wow.
Same terrible question. Same terrible question
hard.
for Mona.
I mean, we pose this question at the end of every year when we're rounding up the year.
Ooh.
And I think that outside of my neighborhood, it would definitely be. I mean, it used to be Pasadena a lot more before the fires.
Yeah.
It's influx. And Long Beach. I love Long Beach.
Good answer.
There's a lot of places to explore. You can stay down there all day.
Shout out
all
to
day
Long
long.
Beach. I got to say this. I didn't understand this, right? Is when I first started reporting on Long Beach for what I do in LA Minute, I would always get feedback like, Long Beach is in LA. Like, why do you consider it's not part of LA? And I was like, but it is. It's LA County. But now understanding more, like Long Beach is, and I tell this to my wife, like I would go do like a vacation in Long. It's like going to a different city, and it is.
I have done a staycation in Long Beach.
Oh my God, it's so
awesome.
fun. So many good places.
And Long Beach doesn't care if you like it. They don't.
That's a
like they're very okay with like, you know, everyone making comparisons and saying it's not it for me. They're like, okay, fine.
It's good.
They want it to stay as is.
The independent streak.
Yeah.
Mona, I do got to ask you an off topic, not off topic, but so you're an Altadena resident, right?
Raised there.
Okay.
I live in Northeast LA, Eagle Rock.
Okay, but you're still pretty connected, correct?
Yeah.
How has that been, and what have you seen in Altadena since the fires?
It's pretty terrible. I went up about a month ago
Yeah.
for the first time since the fire. You know, when I very foolishly, I wouldn't have done it again. I drove up to get some photos right on the corner of Altadena Drive and Lake of the places that burned, and then drove 4 blocks north to my childhood home, which burned down. And my father sold it years ago, so but still, it's that entire place that I grew up is gone, and so there absolutely is a hole in my heart to what Altadena used to be.
Yeah.
And you can never really understand what it's like for other people experiencing a natural disaster until it happens to your hometown. And, you know, it's, we're going to see in the coming years what's going to come of it. I just hope that we can have 1 inch that can be the special place that it was.
Man. And, you know, I was driving through there. I did some reporting and, I mean, what can I say? The devastation is insane and heartbreaking. And to see the numbers about the properties that are being sold and the developers that are buying it, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But there is a bright spot. A lot of Altadena did not burn down, which I think people need to know and realize, by the way. And, you know, Altadena Strong is a thing, and Altadena not for sale. A lot of people are still having the pride and moving back and you know, going to try to rebuild as best they can. But man, okay. Now speed round. Here we go. Are you guys ready? So this is what we're going to do. I want to know your absolute favorite spot or favorite item in the following categories in Los Angeles. All right. We're going to start easy with fast food, which we already started with. Okay. I want to know your favorite fast food restaurant or item. Jordan.
When in Los Angeles, Taco Bell, and whenever they bring back the double decker, I would enjoy that. And if I go visit my wife's family in Florida and they have Culver's down there, and if the people of Culver's are ever listening, please come to Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
What's, I don't even know Culver's.
Of a fast food restaurant.
What is it?
They just, it started, I believe, in Wisconsin, and they have cheese curds and they have fried shrimp, which I'm desperate to have more of in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And they have butter burgers. I mean,
What are those?
Dude, all of it. I would take
they're just buttering the buns, but they call them butter burgers.
Okay.
I got excited before I
Sounds
had them
good.
because I thought it was the burger with like the actual butter on it, and they melt it and it drips all over you real nice. And but it's not. It's just the bun. It's just a very varied menu. They have like a very fun ice cream kind of like concrete situation going, sundae situation going. Mm-hmm. I don't know, folks. I'm just trying to get by.
Eddie, fast food. What do you got?
Jordan's not gonna like this, but it's In-N-Out. I mean, I feel like the double whole grilled onions, chopped chilies, extra toast is my jam. I think I consume more In-N-Out burgers because it's just readily available. So the drive-through
Is
aspect.
it though? You're gonna wait 30 minutes.
It depends where you go. Don't go to the
30
LAX
minutes.
one.
Or you gotta go in and then deal with all the.
You know,
His answer.
Fat burger's so much easier.
Fat burger's not the same. I'm
it's
a
not the
fat
same.
burger guy.
Yeah.
Lovey Yancey
When they
is
took
one of
the
best
grill out, it
American
hasn't been
dream
the same.
stories, but
Let's-
fat burger is not the same, and I hate to say it.
Let's move on.
When it used to be on the char, it was
Sorry,
great.
Eddie, go ahead.
No, that's it.
You
I know.
started it.
Yeah, you did.
I tend
But second would be Taco Bell. Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Jen.
Okay, we're back.
Popeyes fried chicken.
Wow, that's a great one.
Where?
That is
Popeyes.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
The
that's
beans
delicious.
and rice, girl,
Yes.
are delicious.
Yes. Popeyes.
We have shrimp too.
Yes,
So
they do.
all those LA burger stands, you know, gyms, all and the like, just give me an order of their frozen French fries.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're all the same, and they're frozen. They throw them in the fryer, and I ask them for a little bit of crispy, and they're the best. Wow. And there are times when I stop at them, that's all I'll get. And it just hits the
Ketchup?
spot.
What do you-
Absolutely
okay.
ketchup.
Okay.
Absolutely.
By the way, I'm Jack in the Box, and I like their stuffed jalapenos. To be honest, if it comes down to one item,
good.
Jack in the Box stuffed jalapenos. Okay, that's my number. All right, this is always. I hate this question. I do, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Ask.
What's your favorite taco or taco place in Los Angeles?
Taqueria.
I know, I hate it.
I
You can throw out a
answer.
couple, but go on.
Taqueria Frontera.
Okay.
Frontera's great. This is the easiest question.
Okay.
for me, at least. I mean,
But there's so many. The reason why I hate it is because it's like there are so many.
I understand.
And the best taco is whatever one you're eating right now.
it's
right?
True.
clear number one is Marisco's Jalisco for me.
Oh,
That's what I was going to say.
A clear number one.
Yep.
okay.
the shrimp.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just go back to like, it's got to be carne asada. So something, you know, again, maybe even nostalgia. So for me, Sonora Town, probably because it's mesquite. It reminds me of, you know, backyard barbecue back when it was like charcoal and, you know, gang of lighter fluid, although they do it better. They do it better than that. I mean, let me go on record. They don't do that at the restaurant.
Yeah.
But it just reminds me of of what carne asada should taste like, you know, because it was always on the char. And I feel like there was a time where all the taco trucks were just used to having it on the flat top, on the plancha. And it's a different taste. And those flour tortillas are just, oh man.
We going cheese on that?
No, I don't. I just keep it, you know, plain. Yeah. Yes. What, griddled cheese too? We should do that, huh?
That's what they do.
Okay. Yeah. No, I just keep it simple with just the steak and, you know, they put the green onion on there. Salsa, that's it.
Jen?
Marisco Jalisco, the shrimp taco.
Dang, look at this.
Yeah, it's just that taco to me is Los Angeles. Like it's so good. That's the one.
That's not only the best taco in Los Angeles. That may be the best bite in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's a great.
You know, every time I take an out of towner to Jalisco, Marisco Jalisco, they adore it. Like I take them on a taco crawl. And I'm like, which was your favorite? And they're like, oh man,
I want to go on a taco.
Really entertain. And I have a friend who doesn't drink, and so they were a designated driver. You take a margarita stop here and there, and you have like a whole couple of hours of very good fun, and you're full.
That sounds amazing.
It's the best day.
Tacos Tamex.
Where's that?
Oh, honey, there's one on the west side, and then there's one right on oh God, what is the cross street? Just south of Pico and Alvarado? I think no. I can't remember the exact address, but it's right by the 10. Right where the 10 and the 110 is.
Mine is Tacos Los Primos, a taco truck on Van Nuys in Burbank. And they also do a Taco Thursday. Not a Taco Tuesday. So after my son's baseball practices on Thursdays, we always go there.
What's the taco?
I mean, listen, I'm a carnitas guy, carne asada guy, lengua. I like to get all, especially when it's Taco Thursday and you could just load up. I'll get, no exaggeration, ask my wife like 10 different tacos.
They do carnitas as well?
Yeah, they're solid and so good. And honestly, Taco Thursday.
Noted.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my dad. More food, not better food. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. What's your favorite sushi in LA?
When I have money, rather when I'm on a budget, I'll go to Umasa.
Yeah.
When I've got dough or enough on my dining budget, it's there's quite a few. Shoot, I'm drawing like a blank on the name all of a sudden.
Umasa.
Let's stick with Umasa.
Jordan.
Sushi way out of my wheelhouse, and I've only really started to explore the best sushi in LA, or what's deemed the best or the highest. And Shunji and Sonagi in Gardena are the favorites that I've had. And there is nothing wrong and a lot right with a Kazunori scallop hand roll.
I'm a big fan.
I'm all over the place.
Eddie.
I would say sugarfish. I know it's not like
on the
a $400 omakase or anything. Not because I shoot or have shot for them too, but it's really something. There was a time where I was on the East Coast for a while, and one of the first stops I just wanted sushi and I didn't have it where I was. So yeah, sugarfish was like the go-to for me. It's just, they make it, you know, easy. Trust me box, you're done. And to me, it's the rice. I don't know, something that you know Nozawa does with the rice, or he did, or you know, the recipe is just, it's different. There's like something to it, and so yeah, it's just awesome. It hits.
They have an excellent to-go box too.
They do,
like where everything is labeled.
Yeah, not to plug myself, but if you see the photos in there, those are my photos in the.
I was gonna.
I'm looking at you,
Jen. What do you got?
If I had unlimited funds, Morihiro.
Oh,
that's a good one. I like Sushi Note in the Valley, which is freaking awesome, and it feels different than any other sushi bar I've ever been to. Where it's, I don't know. I read their description. It's like 1930s something Japanese, but our go-to is Studio Sushi across from Radford Studios, and it's just low key. It's chill. It's delicious fish, and it's just a good environment. So that's my favorite. Again, by request of my wife and me, actually, best sandwich in LA. Let me go this way. I know there's a lot of great ones.
I have two.
Go.
Can I have two?
Yeah.
Okay. I love Langer's pastrami.
Yeah.
So, but not the number 19. I get the number 1.
Oh, really?
Yes. And also any sandwich at Lorenzo, California. I'm a big fan.
What's the number 1 though? At
Yeah,
Langer's?
It's pastrami, Russian dressing, and coleslaw. Yeah, just no cheese.
Wow.
19 no cheese.
He knows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Eddie and I actually just talked about Lorenzo. In fact, beautiful place, small storefront in Beverly Hills. Not that Beverly Hills, like off Beverly Hills. Brazilian couple, like great spot, great sandwiches.
Really
good
good.
choice.
Yeah.
Eddie, what's your favorite?
I don't know about favorite, but the most that I've eaten is no longer available right now temporarily. So next question.
I know what you're going to say. It's also a
Big
great
cities.
sandwich. Yeah.
Oh, let's say it.
All right.
Fuck
Yeah.
Santa Monica.
Godmother Bay City.
Yeah.
And again, maybe nostalgia hits, but I remember being in college, SMC, and then someone's like, "You got to try this sandwich," and it changed my life. Might not be the best, but it really is what sparked, the Padrino at Pizza Hut. I've talked to Danielle. He's like, "Oh yeah, Gwen, Curtis Stone with
The
his
Godfather
grinder.
at All
The
About the
Godfather.
Bread, yes.
Everyone has been influenced by it. Maybe have done it better or elevated.
2,500 years. But
Yeah, 100 years, but yeah, it's
And by the way,
sadly I can't
will
get it
plug,
anymore. For a
Eddie
bit.
and I have an episode on Bay Cities that we had to put on hold.
We
because of,
shot it the day they got.
Oh, you guys should put it out. Put it
We
out.
actually shot it the
They
day
will
they
be
got
back.
like
They will be back.
the inspection.
They better. They better.
great
Be back.
sandwich and fuck Santa Monica.
I mean,
go on.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
it's the city. It's whatever. That's a nostalgia hit too. It's just,
But
like,
it's awesome.
I could shop.
Yeah.
I could hang out. As in Yiddish they say schmai. I could schmai around Bay Cities all day long. So
But is that your number one?
Put that episode out.
Okay.
That is not my number one. I actually don't even come close to ordering the Godmother either. But these days I actually prefer Norm's daughter's place, Daughter's Deli.
Ooh, I hope
Langer's-
Norm is not listening.
The mayor sandwich there with corned beef and pastrami is quite incredible. I mean, you always have to consider a Howlin' Ray's sandwich as well.
Yeah,
Also
I
great.
wouldn't even think
Also
that.
great.
Yeah, that's right.
Truly awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry to
No.
dabble into your territory
No.
there, but
Kidding. Fried chicken is everybody's territory. That's a good choice. That's a really good choice.
Mona.
I love most of the sandwiches at Jeff's Table.
Jeff. Jeff's.
And then there's a truly awesome spot in Glendale called Corner Market.
Ooh.
It is
Right
so
by my son's school.
good. And they have this one pastrami that's truly I tried my vet is around the corner from there, so I had their breakfast sandwich the other day, and I was stunned by that too. It is just a super awesome sandwich.
Do you know what's funny about Corner Market? They have a sign out front that says "Best sandwiches in town," and it's literally right by my son's school. And I drove by, and I was like, "It's like looks like liquor store, a Corner Market," and I was like, "Best sandwiches in town." Like, I mean, again, marketing, whatever. But then I'd started hearing about it, probably from you, and then went there, and the sandwiches are awesome. Of the sandwiches not named, I got to say Les Sorteds. I love their father-in-law, and Les Sorteds, Tommy, shout out, doing a great job. Love that spot. Great sandwiches. Quick one. You don't need to name your favorite, but if you want to, you can. Smash burger or regular hamburger?
Regular hamburger.
Do you have a favorite?
Oh, I have a bunch of favorites, but it's just because it's fresh in my mind because I just ate it. The Birdie burger at Birdie G's is very good.
Dope. Eddie?
I prefer probably regular burger now just because I've been a little bit burned. But to say I do like a smash burger, and I would say heavy-handed, has just always been great for me.
Solid.
Yeah.
I'll stay in the hickory territory.
Yeah,
But we've given Apple Panda. I'll say the Benjamin burger, which has hickory sauce on it, is a favorite right now.
okay.
I'm a Goldberger fan.
Wow. You know, unfortunately, I still have not eaten there, and I was just by the one in Chinatown.
He's about to open one in the valley.
Where?
I think Woodland. Far. We might as well just drive the.
And by the way, I want to say this about your point with
Los
Sherman Oaks. Sherman Oaks, my wife always
Feliz.
jokes. She says, Sherman Oaks has great dining, but it's always like the second or third location. Well, it's never like its own
Yeah.
thing. It's always the next location.
Right.
Fancy or nice restaurant? What's your favorite? Eddie.
Fancy or
Yeah,
nice?
if you're going like a date, an anniversary kind of deal.
Okay, do say that. Yeah. So currently, yeah. So Tish and I, we like postponed a date night, and we're actually going to go to Somerville because I've been there before, and it's an incredible place.
You reported on that, right? That's
beautiful
where you put me
space,
onto that.
great food, live music. It feels like you're stepping into like just another time. It's really good, and the food is great. Actually, I kind of like that they have a dress code too.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta actually comb my hair, which is great. No, but it just sets a nice vibe. But the food is really great.
Jenn.
I don't know. Fancy. I was like, I don't know. I can't pick like one. Like, I'm trying to think of, I just imagine if I had unlimited funds, which it's fun to play that game. Like the bar at Cato.
Okay.
I would eat there as much as I could.
Solid.
Yeah, I mean, Cato is probably the answer. I mean, if we're talking, is that what we're saying? Is that what fancy means? Fine
that's
dining?
really fancy.
Michelin?
Fancy.
Are we talking Michelin?
Are we talking Michelin?
Then yeah, it's probably Cato. I recently had a pretty tremendous meal at Providence, and leaving Los Angeles, Addison is a special place down in Del Mar.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't even know. Yeah.
Only 3 Michelin star restaurant in Southern California.
Fair enough. Wow. Wow. Okay.
Antico Nuevo, Chad Colby's place,
Wow.
is my favorite place.
Okay.
Fancy.
Period.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one place to eat that has not been mentioned yet today. Jordan.
Ready Chick at the Brentwood Country Mart, I would say, which is another nostalgic hit. They do rotisserie ribs. Like, I don't know how many places are doing rotisserie ribs.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Ribs on the rotisserie.
What?
So they're known for their rotisserie chicken, but they also put pork ribs on the rotisserie, and they're quite nice. No sauce for everyone in the in the keto lifestyle. No
is there like
sugar
a rub on them?
There is.
Okay, that sounds really good.
And
Okay.
I hate to bring this up again. They do pretty good fried shrimp there. Wow. And it's it's the old school thin fries with literal Lowry salt on them, and
Yeah.
it's another nostalgic hit. But
Good take.
That sounds awesome.
Eddie.
I don't know that we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
We've mentioned a lot. I don't remember if it was before air or on air, but oh man.
Think about it.
Yeah, I gotta think about it. You gotta skip.
I would.
Wait, are the only parameters that we just didn't mention it?
Correct.
Well, then.
Come on.
Anyway, all right.
That could be anything.
I'm going to give 2 then.
Okay.
I'm going to say
Okay.
Dr. Hoagly Wogley's in Van Nuys.
So is it Hoagly Woagly? I always thought it was Hoggly Woggly.
I thought it was Holly. I thought it was Holly.
It is Hoagly Wogley's. But going back to nostalgia, when we grew up, my dad would take me there for the beef ribs, by the way. Best beef ribs in Los Angeles. They are massive. I'm not vouching for anything
Never
else,
been.
but they are huge and delicious and awesome. And it's in Van Nuys. It's like rough looking place, AstroTurf out on the patio. Like, but you could tell the servers have been there for like 40, 50 years. And the beef ribs are massive and juicy and delicious. And it's awesome. Go support. They're from Tyler, Texas. I used to call it Tyler, Texas, but it's Hoagly Wogley's or Hoggly Wogley's, whatever. Because the name came from Piggly Wiggly. The wife used to call the husband a Piggly Wiggly, and then she's like, "You're a Hoggly Woggly." Yeah, my dad would call it Hoggly Woggly. So that's number one. But also in Van Nuys, Catch 818. Have you guys ever been to Catch 818?
Not for a
No.
while.
It was actually the first place I had aguachile. And it's awesome. It's right across from the Van Nuys airport, like crazy location, small place, but you always got speaking of live music, and like it's packed and it's lively, but ceviche, but the aguachile is awesome and it's a good spot. And they just opened another one in Sherman Oaks. In fact, second location
On
in
Ventura.
Sherman Oaks.
Yeah.
That's right.
We never get the first location.
Different vibe there. The Sherman Oaks on Just Saying, different vibe, but go to the Van Nuys one. Okay. Jenn, anything?
Gelada, maybe?
Oh, okay.
I love gelada.
Glad that got brought up.
I love
Deserved.
So many places in Thai Town, but that's the one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Special.
Classic. Mona.
Since you're bringing up barbecue, my aunt just asked me to pick up barbecue for my uncle, and I'll go to Ray's barbecue.
Really?
Ray's is great.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know. Good to know. And another one of your James Beard nominees growing up on LA's Black Barbecue, right? So that was
I didn't mention him, but yeah, I was nominated for that.
Okay, closing out. Here's what we're gonna do. Each one of you, what are you gonna use your platform for in the future in regard to LA food culture And where do you see LA dining going?
I mean, these questions.
I know. Well, it's tough. You came on the panel.
You could do the whole podcast on that.
You could.
Yeah.
You got to be quick. And
Okay.
and I'll add a third element and plug whatever you need to plug. So we're going to follow.
You need to write this down,
Start
Evan.
with you.
Using my platform, I feel like always highlighting what's going on in LA, telling stories. I think we talked earlier about, just even being inspired to talk about restaurants that aren't being talked about anymore and stuff. So for me, again, photographer, videographer first. So what I find joy in is actually putting others in front of the camera, the chef, the person. Even when we're hanging out with you, you tell me where we're eating, and so I love that, So and where LA dining is going, I hope it's, I hope it's a positive place. I hope people are out there dining, supporting, the people behind the restaurants. So yeah, I hope that's where it goes.
And follow you at?
Hungry in LA.
There you go. Jordan.
Continue celebrating Los Angeles, plugging the podcast, Air Jordan, the food podcast, wherever podcasts are heard.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
Nice.
Yeah, look, I hope, and I think, because it has to go this way, I hope that Los Angeles restaurant scene goes in a more original direction.
Mm-hmm.
I try to sound and create originally as far as food media goes, and I do yearn for restaurants to take a little bit more of a swing and be a little bit more original with what people are trying.
Interesting.
Great take. Jen?
I hope.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Food podcast. Anywhere else? You want us to follow you on social media too?
No, don't follow me on Instagram.
But you got to watch his story somehow.
Best story.
Don't follow me at Jordan Okun, OKUN.
Great stories, just for the music. Okay. Anyway.
I hope to keep helping people fall in love with Los Angeles through food, like I did, and to continue to hopefully amplify voices and stories that need to be heard in the city. And I really, like Jordan, and I think like all of us, I really hope that LA moves in a direction where it is more original, independently owned restaurants with chefs who feel encouraged and supported to really tell their stories through their restaurants and food.
Awesome. And then where do we follow you?
You can, read the LA Times food section, please, and subscribe if you can. And then I'm on Instagram at Jenn with 2 N's _ Harris _
There you go. Mona Holmes.
Definitely want to highlight the stories from people who make LA so unique in what it is, for sure. I am hoping that those who are in governing positions of power can do whatever they can to make it easier to operate a restaurant in Los Angeles. That's what I'm hoping to push as much as possible. When you talk to Karen Bass, tell her I want to talk to her. The story that I'm most excited about are a truly wonderful resurgence of Black-owned restaurants in Los Angeles, which I'm truly stunned is happening during this very difficult time. And I'm thrilled because there aren't nearly as many of us as there were when I was growing up here. And so to see so many really great places like Badass Bakes and, actually a whole handful of new Black-owned bakeries like in Southern California, I am thrilled about. So I'm going to be highlighting that story sooner than later. And then, I don't know, folks, be kind. Just be kind to your restaurants. They're just trying so hard and they don't sleep and they barely see their families. Be nice to them.
And Mona, where can we find you, by the way?
Mona Eats on Instagram. I am also a very heavy Threads user. I'm not on Twitter, but I am very much on Threads.
And it is on that note, just remember, it's a tough business. Nobody's getting rich off of this industry right now. When you see the prices, look, it sucks. I don't make a lot of money. We don't eat out often, but I know that the prices are warranted and know that people are working hard and they're struggling, and respect the people who are working there and the people that are making your food, cleaning the dishes, picking and growing the food, all that. And that's really under fire right now, especially in LA and California. So support your restaurants, support the industry, and support my friends here at the LA Food Roundtable. This is great. Jenn Harris, thank you. Eddie Sanchez, Jordan Okun, Mona Holmes, great group. I really appreciate you guys being here. Really appreciate you for listening and watching. It's been a great episode. Thank you very much. Share, like, subscribe. You know the deal. But all right, LA, it's been a minute. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.